The flickering neon sign of the old diner cast long, distorted shadows across the rain-slicked street. Inside, the air hung thick with the scent of stale coffee and unspoken regrets. Sarah, a woman in her early 30s, stirred her lukewarm tea, her gaze fixed on the condensation tracing patterns on the window pane. She was a puzzle, a woman of sharp intellect and undeniable talent, yet her life felt like a perpetual loop of almost there. Tonight, the mystery of her own making weighed heavy on her. She had just for the third time in 2 years inexplicably sabotaged a job opportunity that was not merely good, but perfect. A role at Ascend Global, a tech giant she had admired for years, a position that promised growth, innovation, and a salary she could only dream of. Yet when the final interview arrived, a strange, almost alien impulse had taken over. She had become aloof, dismissive, subtly undermining her own achievements. The offer, predictably, never came. This wasn't a one-off, it was a pattern, an invisible thread weaving through the tapestry of her life, a recurring enigma that left her perpetually questioning, why do we destroy the very opportunities we crave? This is a question that haunts many, an insidious whisper in the quiet moments between ambition and achievement. It's the inexplicable urge to push away the very thing we desire, the self-inflicted wound that leaves us wondering how we arrived at this familiar, frustrating crossroads. If you find yourself caught in these recurring loops, if you're tired of the same old narrative playing out in your life, consider subscribing to Invisible Patterns. We delve into the unseen forces that shape our choices, offering clarity, not quick fixes. Sarah's journey into this labyrinth of self-sabotage began subtly. As a child, she was bright, often praised, but beneath the surface a quiet anxiety simmered. Her parents, well-meaning but perpetually busy, offered affirmation sparingly, often tied to achievement. A perfect report card earned a fleeting smile, a successful piano recital, a hurried good job. Love, it seemed, was a reward, not a given. This early conditioning laid the groundwork for a peculiar internal logic. Success was precarious, a temporary state easily shattered. Failure, while painful, was predictable, almost comfortable in its familiarity. Her first major encounter with this pattern arrived in college. She was a brilliant history of art student, her passion for ancient civilizations almost palpable. A prestigious scholarship to study in Rome, a dream she had nurtured since childhood, was within her grasp. She spent countless nights meticulously crafting her application, her essays brimming with insightful analyses. The interview came, and she excelled. The Rhetora, a severe but fair woman, praised her intellect and dedication. The scholarship was hers, practically guaranteed. But then, a few days before the final confirmation, Sarah inexplicably stopped responding to emails. She missed a crucial follow-up call. When she finally did engage, her tone was oddly detached, her enthusiasm conspicuously absent. The scholarship naturally went to another student. She told herself she hadn't really wanted to go, that it was too much pressure. But late at night, the sting of regret was undeniable. This pattern, once a faint whisper, grew into a resonant hum throughout her 20s. Relationships, both romantic and professional, followed a similar trajectory. A promising connection would emerge, brimming with potential and genuine affection. Sarah would initially embrace it, her heart cautiously open. Then, just as intimacy deepened, a subtle shift would occur. She would become distant, critical, creating unnecessary conflict or simply withdrawing without explanation. The relationship would inevitably falter, leaving her alone once more, nursing a familiar ache. In her career, she would climb steadily, impressing superiors with her sharp mind and innovative ideas. Promotions would loom, exciting opportunities would present themselves, only for her to pull back, to question her own capabilities, to find reasons why she wasn't truly ready. She would subtly undermine her own authority, deferring to less experienced colleagues or simply failing to seize the moment when it mattered most. The result was stagnation, a plateau she could never quite break through, despite possessing all the necessary tools and talent. The mystery of her behavior deepened with each passing year. On the surface, she yearned for stability, for success, for connection. Yet, an invisible force seemed to guide her hand, leading her away from these very aspirations. It wasn't a conscious choice, not a deliberate act of self-sabotage in the malicious sense. It was something far more subtle, more ingrained. It felt like an internal magnetic field, pulling her away from her desired path just as she neared the destination. The turning point, or at least the moment she truly began to acknowledge the depth of the issue, arrived after the Ascend global rejection. This wasn't just another missed opportunity, it was a devastating blow to her self-esteem. The job had represented everything she wanted: intellectual challenge, financial security, a sense of belonging to something significant. Sitting in that diner, the rain a rhythmic percussion against the window, she finally admitted the truth. She was the architect of her own undoing. The first step in solving any mystery is to identify the clues, to meticulously piece together the narrative. Sarah began to look inward, not with judgment, but with a detached curiosity. She started journaling, meticulously recording her thoughts and feelings before, during, and after these self-sabotaging episodes. She noticed recurring themes: a sudden surge of anxiety when success felt imminent, a powerful urge to retreat, a conviction that she was somehow not worthy of the good things coming her way. This led her to a crucial realization. Her self-sabotage wasn't about avoiding failure, it was about avoiding success. Or more accurately, it was about avoiding the implications of success. What did success mean to her deep down? It meant visibility. It meant responsibility. It meant expectations. It meant a spotlight. And for someone who had learned early on that attention could be fleeting or conditional, the spotlight felt terrifying. Her childhood experiences, where affirmation was tied to achievement, had inadvertently created a subtle but powerful belief: success was a performance, and performances, by their very nature, could fail. If she didn't try, she couldn't fail. If she pushed away opportunities, she controlled the narrative. She wasn't rejected. She had simply chosen not to pursue it. This offered a perverse sense of safety, a way to protect herself from the perceived pain of being found wanting, of falling short of unspoken expectations. Another layer of the mystery began to peel back: the concept of unworthiness. Sarah carried a deep-seated belief that she wasn't truly deserving of sustained happiness or significant achievement. This wasn't a conscious thought she articulated daily, but a pervasive undercurrent, a quiet conviction that whispered in moments of vulnerability. Where did this come from? It wasn't rooted in any explicit trauma or abuse. Instead, it was a subtle accumulation of experiences: the fleeting nature of her parents' praise, the times she felt overlooked, the unspoken message that her intrinsic worth was somehow tied to external validation. When an opportunity arose that offered genuine fulfillment, it triggered this deep-seated feeling of unworthiness. Her internal monologue would shift: is this really for me? Am I capable of handling this? What if I get it and then ruin it? It's better not to have it at all than to lose it. This fear of loss, of having something good and then inevitably losing it, became a powerful motivator for preemptive self-sabotage. It was a defense mechanism, a way to control the pain. If she never fully embraced the opportunity, she couldn't be truly devastated when it ended. This is a common, albeit unconscious, human tendency: to avoid potential pain by rejecting pleasure. The timeline of her life, when viewed through this new lens, began to make chilling sense. The scholarship in Rome, too much success, too much expectation, too far from her familiar, safe world. The promising relationships, too much intimacy, too much vulnerability, too much to lose. The career advancements, too much responsibility, too much visibility, too much pressure to maintain a perfect performance. Each instance wasn't an isolated event, but a manifestation of these deeply ingrained patterns. The social context also played a role. In a society that often equates self-worth with achievement, the pressure to constantly succeed can be immense. For someone like Sarah, already prone to linking validation with performance, this external pressure amplified her internal anxieties. The fear of not living up to societal expectations, of being perceived as a failure, fueled her desire to retreat from the very opportunities that could offer true fulfillment. It was a paradoxical trap. The desire for external validation led her to avoid the very paths that could provide it, because the risk of failure felt too high. The key elements of her case began to coalesce into a coherent picture. First, the conditioning from childhood, love and affirmation as conditional rewards. Second, the resulting fear of success, the anxiety that comes with visibility, responsibility, and the potential for public failure. Third, the belief in unworthiness, the quiet conviction that she wasn't deserving of sustained happiness or significant achievement. And finally, the fear of loss, the preemptive rejection of good things to avoid the pain of their potential disappearance. Sarah began to actively challenge these internal narratives. She sought out a therapist, a compassionate guide who helped her unpack these complex layers. She learned about attachment theory, understanding how her early experiences shaped her current relational patterns. She practiced mindfulness, learning to observe her anxious thoughts without immediately acting on them. She started small, taking on projects that scared her slightly but weren't overwhelming. She allowed herself to feel the discomfort, the fear, the urge to retreat. But instead of succumbing, she would gently, firmly push through. One day, an email arrived. A former colleague, now at a smaller, innovative startup, was looking for a project manager. The role wasn't at Ascend Global, but it was exciting, challenging, and perfectly aligned with her skills. The familiar anxiety began to bubble up. The urge to dismiss it, to find reasons why it wasn't right, was powerful. But this time, Sarah paused. She recognized the pattern. She acknowledged the fear. And then she responded. She scheduled an interview. The interview itself was a struggle. Her internal critic was loud, whispering doubts, highlighting perceived inadequacies. But she had learned to observe this voice, not to identify with it. She answered the questions honestly, confidently, allowing her genuine enthusiasm to shine through. To her surprise, a few days later, an offer arrived, a good offer, a real opportunity. The old Sarah would have found a reason to decline. Too much risk, too much responsibility, not quite perfect. But this new Sarah, armed with understanding and a newfound self-awareness, saw it differently. She saw a chance to break the cycle. She saw a chance to rewrite her narrative. She accepted. The journey was not over. Self-sabotage is a deeply ingrained pattern, not a switch that can be flipped off instantly. There would be moments of doubt, moments when the old urges resurfaced. But now, she had a map. She understood the invisible forces at play. She knew the mystery of her own making, and with that knowledge came the power to choose a different path. She chose to lean into the discomfort, to embrace the vulnerability that comes with pursuing what she truly desired. She chose to trust her own worth, to believe that she was deserving of the opportunities she craved. The rain had stopped. The neon sign still flickered, but its light no longer seemed menacing. Sarah finished her tea, a quiet determination settling over her. The path ahead was still uncertain, but for the first time in a long time, it felt like her own. The patterns in our lives, those invisible threads that weave through our choices and relationships, are often the most powerful. They are not always conscious, not always logical, but they exert a profound influence. Understanding why we destroy opportunities we genuinely crave is not about blame, but about awareness. It's about recognizing the subtle mechanisms of fear, unworthiness, and the desire for control that can lead us to push away the very things that could bring us fulfillment. If Sarah's story resonated with you, If you recognize these invisible patterns in your own life, then you're on the path to deeper understanding. Don't let the mystery of your own behavior hold you back. Unravel these patterns, understand their origins, and reclaim your agency. Subscribe to Invisible Patterns and join a community dedicated to exploring the profound depths of human behavior. Hit that subscribe button and embark on your own journey of self-discovery.